I sold my house, my savings, even my late husband's last gift to me, just to make my son's dream come true. And the day he finally became successful, he looked me in the eyes and acted like he had never seen me before. Before I continue, take a second to like this video and comment where you're watching from. I still remember the day everything started to change. It was a quiet evening. I was sitting in my small living room, the same one I had lived in for over 30 years. Every corner of that house held memories, birthdays, laughter, arguments, and moments that only a mother would understand. My son Daniel walked in that day with a look I hadn't seen before. Not sadness, not anger, but desperation. "Mom, I need to talk to you," he said. Something in his voice made my heart tighten. "Of course," I replied, putting down my tea. "What is it?" He sat across from me, rubbing his hands together nervously. "I have an opportunity," he said. "A real one. This could change everything." Smiled. He had always been a dreamer. Ever since he was a little boy, he would talk about becoming successful, building something big, making a name for himself. And I always believed him. "What kind of opportunity?" I asked. "It's a business," he said quickly. "A startup. My friend is already in it, and they need one more investor. If I get in now, I could make it big, Mom. Really big." I nodded slowly, listening carefully. "And how much do you need?" I asked. He hesitated. That hesitation scared me. "About $80,000, he said quietly. I felt the air leave my chest. That wasn't a small amount. That was everything I had. My savings, my security, my future. "Daniel," I said softly, trying to stay calm. "That's a lot of money." "I know," he said quickly. "But this is different. I've never asked you for something like this before." That wasn't true. He had asked before. Small amounts, a few thousand here and there. But nothing like this. "I promise you," he continued, leaning forward. "This isn't a risk. I've done the research. I've talked to people. This is real." I looked at him. Really looked at him. And all I saw was my little boy. The same boy who used to run to me when he fell down. The same boy who would say, "Mom, I'm going to make you proud one day." "You already make me proud," I said quietly. He smiled. But there was something else in his eyes. Pressure. Urgency. "Mom, please," he said. "This is my chance. I can't miss this." I didn't answer right away. 'Cause deep down, something didn't feel right. But then again, how many times had I doubted him before? And how many times had I told myself, "Believe in your child." "I don't have that kind of money just sitting around," I said finally. His face dropped. "But," I continued. Hope flickered back in his eyes. "I do have the house," I said. The words felt heavy the moment they left my mouth. "Mom," he whispered, "if I sell it and combine it with my savings, I could get close to that amount." Silence filled the room. Even I couldn't believe what I was saying. That house wasn't just a building. It was my life, my history, everything. "Are you serious?" he asked. I nodded slowly. "If this is truly your chance, then I don't want to be the reason you miss it." His eyes filled with tears. He stood up and hugged me tightly. "Thank you, Mom, thank you so much," he said. And in that moment, I felt like I had done the right thing. I felt like I was being a good mother. I felt like I was helping my son build a future. I didn't know. I was destroying my own. The process was faster than I expected. Within a few weeks, the house was sold. I packed up decades of memories into boxes. Every photo, every piece of furniture, every little thing that once made that place a home. And just like that, it was gone. I moved into a small rental apartment. It was nothing like my old house. Smaller, quieter, colder. But I didn't mind. Because I kept telling myself, This is temporary. This is for Daniel. The day I handed him the money. I'll never forget it. He looked at me like I had given him the world. I won't let you down, he said. I know, I replied. And I meant it. I truly believed him. First, everything seemed fine. He called me often, updated me about the business, told me things were going well. Mom, we're growing faster than expected, he said one day. That's amazing, I replied, smiling. I told you this would work. Yes, you did, I said proudly. Months passed, then a year, and slowly, things started to change. The calls became less frequent. The updates became shorter. Hey Mom, I'm busy. I'll call you later. Things are hectic right now. I'll visit soon. But soon never came. I told myself he was just busy. That's what successful people are, right? Busy. I didn't want to be that mother. The one who complains. The one who doesn't understand. So I stayed quiet. Then one day, I saw his face on TV. I almost dropped my cup. There he is, the reporter said. One of the fastest rising entrepreneurs in the country. My heart swelled with pride. That's my son, I whispered to myself. They showed his office, his team, his success. He looked different, sharper, more confident, like someone I barely recognized. But I smiled anyway. 'Cause he made it. He really made it. And I was happy, truly happy. That night I called him. No answer. I tried again. Still nothing. I left a message. Daniel, I saw you on TV today. I'm so proud of you. Call me when you can. I waited. Hours passed. Then a day. Then two. No response. Something felt off. But I pushed the feeling away. Until a week later, I decided to visit him. Just to surprise him. Just to see him. Just to hear him say, Mom. I got dressed carefully that day. Wore my best clothes. Took the bus across the city. And stood in front of his office building. It was huge. Glass walls. Security at the entrance. People walking in and out like it was a different world. A world I didn't belong to. But he did. 'Cause I helped him get there. I walked up to the front desk. Hi, I said with a small smile. I'm here to see Daniel. The receptionist looked at me. Do you have an appointment? She asked. No, I said. But I'm his mother. She hesitated, then picked up the phone. Let me check. I stood there, my heart beating fast. Excited, nervous, happy. Finally, I was going to see my son. She spoke quietly on the phone, then paused, then said something that made my stomach drop. Okay. She hung up, looked at me, and said, I'm sorry, but he says he doesn't know you. I felt like the ground disappeared beneath me. What? I whispered. I'm sorry, she repeated. He said there must be some mistake. My ears started ringing. That's not possible, I said quickly. I'm his mother. Tell him again. She looked uncomfortable. I already did. No, you don't understand, I said, my voice shaking now. Please, just tell him it's me. Tell him. But before I could finish, I heard a voice behind me. A voice I knew better than my own. Ma'am, you need to leave. I turned around slowly. And there he was, my son, standing just a few feet away, wearing an expensive suit, looking like a complete stranger. Daniel, I said, my voice breaking. But his face didn't change. No emotion. No warmth. Nothing. I think you have the wrong person, he said coldly. My heart shattered in that moment. Daniel, it's me, I said, stepping closer. It's your mom. He didn't move. Didn't react. Just stared at me like I was nothing. Security, he said calmly. And that's when I realized. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a mistake. My son, the one I gave everything to, was pretending I didn't exist. For a second, I thought I had heard him wrong. Security. That word echoed in my ears like something unreal. Like a bad dream I was about to wake up from. But I didn't wake up. Two men in uniforms stepped toward me. "Ma'am, we're going to have to ask you to leave," one of them said politely. I didn't move. Couldn't. My eyes were locked on Daniel, my son. The same child I carried for 9 months. The same boy who used to hold my hand crossing the street. And now, he couldn't even look at me. "Daniel," I whispered again, my voice trembling. "Please, just look at me." He sighed like I was an inconvenience, like I was wasting his time. "I don't know you," he said flatly. "You're causing a scene." A scene. My chest tightened. "I'm your mother," I said louder this time. "How can you say that?" People around us started slowing down, watching, whispering. I felt their eyes on me, but I didn't care. All I cared about was him. "Please," I said, my voice breaking. "I just wanted to see you. I saw you on TV. I was so proud." For a moment, just a split second, I thought I saw something flicker in his eyes. Something human. Something familiar. But it disappeared just as quickly. "You're mistaken," he said again, colder than before. Then he turned slightly to the guards. "Remove her." That was it. No hesitation. No emotion. Just a command. And in that moment, something inside me broke in a way I had never felt before. "Daniel!" I cried out as the guards gently took my arms. "Please, just listen to me." But he had already turned his back. He was walking away. Just like that. Like I was nothing. Like I had never been anything. "Daniel!" I screamed louder now. "I sold my house for you. I gave you everything." The words came out before I could stop them. The entire lobby went quiet. You could feel it. That sudden silence when something real is said. Something raw. He stopped walking. My heart jumped. He paused for a second. But he didn't turn around. And then, he kept walking. Just like that. The guards escorted me outside. The glass doors closed behind me with a soft click. And suddenly, I was standing alone. On the street. In front of the building I helped build. But had no place in. I don't remember how long I stood there. People walked past me. Cars drove by. Life continued like nothing had happened. But for me, everything had ended in that moment. I slowly sat down on a nearby bench. My hands were shaking. My heart felt like it was being crushed from the inside. "This can't be real," I whispered to myself. He didn't mean it. He must have been confused. Maybe he didn't recognize me. Kept making excuses. Because the truth was too painful to accept. After a while I took out my phone. I called him again. And again. And again. Straight to voicemail. Every time. I left messages. "Daniel, it's me. Please call me back. Maybe something's wrong. Please just tell me you're okay. I'm not upset. I just want to talk." My voice got weaker with each message. But he never called back. That night, I went back to my small apartment. For the first time since moving there. It didn't feel temporary anymore. It felt permanent. Cold. Me. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. Everything felt different now. Every sacrifice. Every memory. Every moment I had trusted him. It all came rushing back. And suddenly, questions started forming in my mind. Questions I had ignored before. Why had he slowly stopped calling? Why had he avoided visiting? Why did it feel like he was pulling away? Long before today. And the biggest question of all. How long had he been planning this? I shook my head. No, Daniel wouldn't do that, I said out loud. But my own voice didn't sound convinced. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy feeling in my chest. Like something inside me had changed forever. I made myself a cup of tea. sat by the window, and tried to think, really think, not as a mother, but as someone looking at the situation clearly. And the more I thought, the more something didn't make sense. He didn't just ignore me. He denied me. In public. In front of people. Without hesitation. That wasn't panic. That wasn't confusion. That was intentional. And that realization terrified me. I decided to go through my documents. Everything related to the house. The money. The transaction. I hadn't looked at those papers in a long time. 'Cause I trusted him. I never thought I'd need to. But now, something told me I should. I pulled out the folder from my drawer, my hands slightly trembling, and started reading. First, everything looked normal. Sale papers, bank transfers, signatures. But then, I noticed something. A document I didn't remember clearly. Something I had signed quickly, without thinking too much at the time. Power of attorney. My heart skipped a beat. Picked it up. Read it again. And again. And then it hit me. This wasn't just permission to help with the process. This gave him full control. Over everything. My finances. My assets. Everything. No, I whispered. I flipped through more pages. Looking for something. Anything. And then I saw it. A transfer record. Large amounts. Moved out. Not just once. Multiple times. My breathing became uneven. This can't be right. I grabbed my phone and checked my bank account. Logged in. Waited. And when the numbers appeared on the screen, I felt my entire body go numb. Almost everything was gone. Not just the house money. My savings. Everything. Completely drained. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor with a dull thud. No, no, no. My hands went to my head. This isn't happening. Tears started falling again. But this time, they felt different. Not just pain. Not just heartbreak. But something else. Something darker. Realization. My son didn't just ignore me. He didn't just pretend not to know me. He took everything I had. And made sure I had nothing left. I sat there on the floor for a long time. Trying to process it. Trying to understand how it all happened. How I didn't see it. How I trusted so blindly. But deep down, I knew the answer. 'Cause he was my son. And I never imagined he would become the person who would destroy me. That night, I didn't cry. Not anymore. Something inside me had shifted. The pain was still there. But now, it was mixed with something else. Something stronger. A need for answers. Because one thing was clear now. This wasn't just betrayal. This was planned. And I had a feeling. What I had discovered so far was only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a second. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face. Cold. Me. Like I meant nothing to him. But this time something was different. The pain was still there. Deep and heavy. But it wasn't the only thing I felt anymore. There was anger. Not loud, explosive anger. But something quiet. Something steady. The kind that builds when you finally start seeing the truth. The next morning I got up earlier than usual. My body felt weak. But my mind felt sharper than it had in a long time. I made coffee, sat down at the small table in my apartment, and laid out every document I had. Papers, bank statements, legal forms, everything. If I was going to understand what happened, I needed to look at it like it was real. Not like it was my son, but like it was someone who had done something to me. I started with the bank statements. First I thought maybe there was some mistake. Technical error. Something that could be fixed. But the more I read, the clearer it became. There was no mistake. There were multiple transfers. Large amounts. Moved in chunks over time. Not all at once. Not impulsive. Carefully. Strategically. My stomach tightened. This wasn't something that happened suddenly. This had been planned. For months. Maybe longer. Then I looked at the power of attorney document again. I remembered the day I signed it. Daniel had brought it to me with a smile. "Mom, this will just make things easier during the house sale," he had said. I didn't question it. Why would I? He was my son. And now, that one signature had given him control over everything. I closed my eyes for a moment, trying to hold myself together. Because if I didn't, I knew I would fall apart again. I needed help. Real help. Someone who understood this kind of situation. So I decided to speak to a lawyer. The office was small but professional. The man behind the desk looked calm, experienced. His name was Mr. Carter. "Tell me what happened," he said. And I did. Everything. From the day Daniel asked for the money, to the moment he denied me in that office lobby. He listened carefully. Didn't interrupt. Didn't react. Just listened. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then he leaned back in his chair. "Legally speaking," he said slowly, "this is complicated." My heart sank. "What do you mean?" I asked. "You signed a power of attorney," he said. "That gave him the legal authority to act on your behalf." "But I didn't know," I started. "I understand," he said gently. "But the law doesn't always consider intent the way we expect it to." I felt a wave of frustration rise inside me. "So you're saying he can just take everything, and there's nothing I can do?" "I didn't say that," he replied calmly. "But it won't be easy." I held on to that word. Not easy. That meant possible. "What can I do?" I asked. He leaned forward slightly. "We would need to prove that he abused that authority," he said. "That he acted in bad faith. That there was deception involved." He nodded. "There was," I said. "I trusted him. He lied to me." He studied me for a moment. "Trust alone isn't always enough in court," he said. "We need evidence." Evidence. The word echoed in my mind. Documents. Records. Anything that could show what he did. I left the office with more questions than answers. But at least now, I had a direction. On my way home I kept thinking about something. If Daniel had planned this, if he had taken everything, then why deny me publicly? Why not just ignore me quietly? Why go that far? Ugh. He had something to hide. That thought stayed with me. When I got back to my apartment I checked my phone. Still no calls. No messages. Nothing. It was like I didn't exist anymore. Later that evening, I heard a knock on my door. Froze. I wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly I walked toward the door, my heart beating faster with each step. Opened it. And for a moment, I didn't recognize the woman standing there. She looked nervous, uncomfortable. "Are you Daniel's mother?" she asked. My chest tightened. "Yes," I said slowly. "Who are you?" She hesitated, then took a deep breath. "My name is Emily," she said. I used to work with your son." Used to. That word caught my attention immediately. "What do you want?" I asked carefully. "I think you deserve to know the truth," she said. My heart started racing again. "What truth?" She looked around like she didn't want anyone to hear. "Can I come in?" she asked. I hesitated for a moment, then stepped aside. "Okay." She walked in slowly, holding her bag tightly. I closed the door behind her. "Sit," I said, pointing to the chair. She sat down, still looking uneasy. "I don't have much time," she said. "But after what I saw, I couldn't stay quiet." My stomach twisted. "What did you see?" I asked. She looked at me. And in her eyes, I saw something I wasn't ready for. Guilt. "Your son," she said quietly. "He didn't build that company the way you think." My breath caught. "What do you mean?" She swallowed. "There were things happening behind the scenes," she continued. "Money being moved. Accounts that didn't add up. Investors who didn't know where their money was going. My mind started spinning. No, I whispered. That's not possible. I didn't want to believe it either, she said. But I saw the records myself. I felt my hands start to shake again. What does that have to do with me? Yes. She hesitated, then said something that made my heart stop. Some of that money was yours. Silence filled the room. Complete silence. I stared at her, trying to process what she just said. What are you saying? Asked slowly. I'm saying, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Your son didn't just take your money. He used it. Used it for what? Asked. She looked down for a second, then back at me. To cover things up. My entire body went cold. What things? She leaned closer and said the words that changed everything. Fraud. I felt like the room was closing in on me. No, I whispered again. Yes, she said. And now, people are starting to notice. My heart started pounding. People like who? She didn't answer immediately. But when she did, her voice was filled with fear. Dangerous people. A chill ran down my spine. Why are you telling me this? Asked. Because, she said, standing up now, when everything falls apart, they're not just going to go after him. She looked straight into my eyes. They're going to come after anyone connected to him. My breath stopped. Which means, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. 'Cause I already understood. Me. Before I could say anything else, she grabbed her bag. I've said too much already, she said quickly. Just be careful. And then she walked to the door. Wait, called out. Emily. But she was already gone. The door closed behind her. And just like that, I was alone again. But this time, felt different. 'Cause now I knew, this wasn't just about betrayal anymore. This wasn't just about money. I was caught in something much bigger. Something dangerous. And for the first time, I was truly afraid. I didn't move for a long time after Emily left. Her words kept repeating in my head. Fraud. Dangerous people. They'll come after anyone connected to him. Anyone connected to him. That meant me. My hands were cold. My heart wouldn't slow down. Just a few days ago I thought I had lost everything. It felt like I was about to lose even more. I walked to the door slowly and locked it. Then I checked it again. And again. I don't know why. But suddenly that small apartment didn't feel safe anymore. Every sound made me jump. Every passing car. Every footstep in the hallway. It was like my entire world had shifted overnight. I sat down and tried to think. Really think. If what Emily said was true, then Daniel didn't just betray me. He used me, my money, my trust, to cover something illegal, something serious. And if people were already noticing, then this wasn't going to stay hidden for long. I grabbed my phone and looked at his contact. Daniel. My finger hovered over the call button. Part of me wanted to scream at him, to demand answers, to ask him how he could do this to me. But another part of me was scared. Because if everything Emily said was true, then calling him might make things worse. I slowly lowered the phone. No, I whispered to myself. Not yet. Instead I did something else. I turned on the TV. I don't know why. Maybe I was hoping to see something. Anything. And then, I saw it. A news report. My heart stopped. Emerging concerns surrounding one of the fastest growing startups. Daniel's company. They showed his picture. The same one I saw days ago. When I felt proud. But now, the tone was different. Sources suggest financial irregularities. Investors are beginning to ask questions. No official statement has been made yet. My hands started shaking. This was real. It wasn't just something hidden anymore. It was starting to come out. I turned off the TV quickly. I couldn't watch anymore. 'Cause everything was happening too fast. Too real. That night, I couldn't eat. I couldn't rest. I just sat there thinking about everything. And one thought kept coming back. If this explodes, what happens to me? The next morning I went back to see Mr. Carter. I needed answers. Real answers. When I walked into his office, he immediately noticed something was wrong. "You look pale," he said. "What happened?" I didn't sit down right away. "I think my son is involved in something illegal," I said. He frowned slightly. "Explain." So I told him. About Emily. About the money. About the news report. Everything. He listened carefully again, but this time his expression changed. More serious. More focused. When I finished, he took a deep breath. "This changes things," he said. My heart tightened. "How?" I asked. "If what you're saying is true," he continued, "then your case becomes stronger." Stronger. I didn't expect that. "How?" I asked again. "Because now we're not just talking about misuse of funds," he said. "We're potentially looking at fraud, deception, and financial misconduct." I nodded slowly. "And that helps me." I asked. "It could," he said. "If we can prove your money was used as part of something illegal, then you're not just a victim of betrayal." He paused. "You're a victim of a crime." Those words hit differently. Crime. Not just heartbreak. Not just family issues. Something bigger. "But there's another side to this," he added. My stomach tightened again. "What side?" He looked at me carefully. "If authorities get involved, your name could come up," he said. My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" "You gave him the money. You signed the documents. On paper you are connected." "I didn't know," said quickly. "I understand," he said calmly. "But we would need to prove that." The fear came back instantly. Stronger this time. "So I could be in trouble too?" "Yes." "It's possible," he said honestly. That word again. Possible. I sat down slowly. Everything felt heavier now. "I just wanted to help my son," I said quietly. He nodded. "I know. But now I'm part of this." "Yes. Right now you're involved," he said. "But that doesn't mean you're guilty." Held on to that. Barely. "What should I do?" "Yes." He leaned forward. "From this moment on, you need to be very careful," he said. "With what?" "Everything," he replied. "Who you talk to. What you say. And most importantly." He paused. "Do not contact your son." I looked at him surprised. "Why not?" "Because if he's involved in something serious, and he knows you're asking questions, it could put you in danger." Danger. That word again. Felt like it was following me everywhere now. I left his office feeling worse than before. Not better. Not relieved. Just aware. Aware that I was standing in the middle of something I didn't understand. Something I never asked for. That evening, I was sitting in my apartment, trying to calm my thoughts, when my phone rang. Froze. Slowly. Picked it up. Unknown number. My heart started racing again. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then answered. "Hello." There was silence. Then a voice. "Whoa. But something about it made my skin crawl. "You're Daniel's mother, right?" My grip tightened on the phone. "Who is this?" "Yes." "That's not important," he said. My heart was pounding now. "What do you want?" "Yes." There was a slight pause. "We need to talk." A chill ran down my spine. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said quickly. "Yes, you do," he replied. My breath caught. "We know about the money." Everything inside me froze. You should listen carefully," he interrupted. "Because this isn't a friendly call." My hands started shaking again. "What do you want from me?" "Yes." Another pause. Then the words came. Low. Clear. and terrifying. Your son owes us. My heart dropped. And now? So do you. My hand went completely numb. For a second, I thought I had dropped the phone, but it was still there, pressed against my ear. And now, so do you. Those words echoed inside my head like something I couldn't escape. I don't owe you anything, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. But it wasn't. It was shaking. Like me. There was a low chuckle on the other end. You might want to think about that again, the man said calmly. I didn't take anything from you, I replied quickly. I don't even know who you are. Another pause. We know exactly who you are, he said. Cold chill ran down my spine. We know where you live. My entire body froze. My eyes slowly moved toward the door. Then the windows. Every shadow suddenly felt closer. You're lying, I whispered. Am I? He replied. Silence filled the line. But it wasn't empty silence. It was heavy, threatening. You gave your son the money, he continued. He used it. Now he can't pay it back. I don't have anything left, I said, my voice breaking. He took everything from me. That's unfortunate, the man said. No emotion, no sympathy, just cold indifference. But it doesn't change the situation. My heart was racing so fast it hurt. I'm not involved in whatever he did, I said. You need to talk to him. We have, he said. That answer scared me more than anything else. And? I asked quietly. Another pause. He's not being very cooperative. I swallowed hard. What does that mean? Yes. But deep down, already knew. It means, the man said slowly, we're exploring other options. My breath caught. And you're one of them. I felt like the walls were closing in on me. This is insane, I said almost to myself. I'm just his mother. Exactly, he replied. That word hit differently. Exactly. Not random. Not accidental. Intentional. You care about him, the man continued. That makes you useful. Useful. The way he said it. Like I wasn't even a person. Just something to be used. I can't help you, I said. I don't have money. I don't have anything. That's your problem, he replied. Silence again. Then his tone changed slightly. More serious. More direct. You have 48 hours. My heart stopped. For what? I whispered. To figure something out, he said. Or things will get difficult. My chest tightened. How much? I asked, barely able to get the words out. There was a brief pause. $50,000. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I don't have that kind of money, I said immediately. Then you better find it, he replied. And if I don't? Yes. There was no hesitation. You won't like what happens next. Cold silence followed. Then, the call ended. I stood there completely frozen, phone still in my hand, my mind empty, yet racing at the same time. 48 hours. $50,000. Or else. No, this can't be happening. I started pacing around the room, my hands shaking, my breathing uneven. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have anything. I said it over and over again, like saying it would somehow change reality. I grabbed my bag and rushed out of the apartment. I didn't even think. I just knew one thing. I needed help. I went straight to Mr. Carter's office. When I walked in, I didn't even wait. I need to talk to you, I said urgently. He looked up, immediately concerned. What happened? They called me, I said. Who? The people my son owes. That got his full attention. Sit down, he said quickly. I did, barely able to stay still. They said I owe them now, I continued. They want $50,000 in 48 hours. His expression hardened. Did they threaten you? He asked. Yes, I said. They know where I live. He leaned back slightly, thinking. This is serious, he said. I know. I snapped, my voice breaking. What am I supposed to do? He remained calm. You need to go to the police, he said. I shook my head immediately. No. Why not? Because what if it makes things worse? Said. What if they come after me? They already are, he replied firmly. That stopped me. They're making demands. That's extortion, he continued. And if your son is involved in something illegal, this is even more dangerous. I felt tears building again. I just wanted to help him, I whispered. I know, he said softly. But right now you need to protect yourself. I sat there trying to think. Every option felt wrong. If I go to the police, I could get dragged into everything. If I don't, these people could hurt me. There was no safe choice. What if I try to talk to Daniel? Yes. No, he said immediately. But, no, he repeated firmly. You don't know who's watching him or who he's involved with. Contacting him could put you both in more danger. Closed my eyes. This felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Listen to me, he said. You have two priorities right now. I opened my eyes slowly. What? Stay safe. And don't give them anything. But they said. I know what they said, he interrupted. But once you give them money, it won't stop. They'll keep coming back. I knew he was right. But fear doesn't listen to logic. I left his office feeling even more overwhelmed. The sun was starting to set. The streets were getting quieter. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely alone. When I got back to my apartment, something felt off. I stopped in front of my door, staring at it. My heart slowly started beating faster. I didn't know why, but something didn't feel right. The door wasn't fully closed, just slightly open. My breath caught. I'm sure I locked it, I whispered. My hand slowly reached for the handle, pushing the door open gently. Hello, called out. No response. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. I stepped inside slowly. Every step careful. Every sound louder than it should be. And then, I saw it. On the table. Small envelope. My name written on it. In thick black ink. My hand started shaking again as I walked toward it. Picked it up. Opened it. And inside, there was only one thing. A single piece of paper. With just a few words written on it. We're watching. My entire body went cold. Because in that moment, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just a threat anymore. My hand started shaking so badly I almost dropped the paper. We're watching. I read it again. And again. Hoping somehow the words would change. But they didn't. They stayed there. Cold and real. I slowly turned around, scanning the apartment. The silence felt heavier now. Like someone had just been there. Like someone could still be there. Hello. I called out again. My voice barely came out. No answer. But that didn't make me feel better. It made it worse. I rushed to the windows. Checked the locks. Closed the curtains tightly. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would break out of my chest. They were here, I whispered. They were actually here. That thought alone made my legs feel weak. This wasn't just phone calls anymore. This wasn't just threats. They had entered my home. My only safe place. And now, didn't feel safe at all. I grabbed my phone and immediately called Mr. Carter. He answered quickly. Hello. They were in my apartment, I said, my voice shaking. What? He said, suddenly alert. They left a note, I continued. It says they're watching me. There was a brief silence. Are you inside right now? He asked. Yes. Get out. His tone was firm. No hesitation. Right now, he added. I didn't argue. I grabbed my bag and rushed out of the apartment. Didn't even look back. I stood outside the building, breathing heavily. The cool air hit my face. But it didn't calm me down. Nothing could calm me down anymore. They were inside. I kept thinking. How is that even possible? Call the police, Mr. Carter said on the phone. I'm scared, I admitted. I know, he said. But this has gone too far. You're not safe. He was right. I knew he was right. But something inside me still hesitated. Because once the police got involved, there was no turning back. Everything would come out. Everything Daniel had done. Everything I was connected to. But then I looked back at the building. My apartment. And I realized something. I was already in it. Whether I wanted to be or not. I'll call them, I said finally. Good, he replied. And don't go back inside alone. Within minutes, I was speaking to the police. My voice was still shaking as I explained everything. Calls. The threats. A note. Stay where you are, the operator said. Officers are on the way. A few minutes later, police car pulled up. 2 officers stepped out. I felt a strange mix of relief and fear. Relief that someone was finally here. Fear of what this all meant. They went inside the apartment with me. Carefully. Checking everything. Every room. Every corner. But there was no one there. Just the note. Sitting on the table. Like it had been waiting for me. One of the officers picked it up. Did you touch this? He asked. Yes, I said. He nodded. We'll still take it, he said. Might be able to get something off it. I watched as he placed it into a bag. Like it was evidence. 'Cause now, that's exactly what it was. Ma'am, the other officer said, we need to ask you a few questions. I nodded slowly. And once again, I told the story. Everything. From the money. To Daniel. To the phone calls. To the threat. When I finished, they exchanged a look. The kind of look that said more than words. This is serious, one of them said. I know, I whispered. Do you know where your son is? He asked. I shook my head. No. When was the last time you spoke to him? Yesterday, I said. He called me, said things were getting worse. Then the line cut. The officer nodded. We're going to need to locate him, he said. My heart tightened. Is he in danger? Yes. He hesitated. We don't know yet. That answer again. We don't know. Am I in danger? Yes. This time. There was no hesitation. Yes. That one word. Hit harder than anything else. They advised me not to stay alone. Suggested I go somewhere safe. Somewhere these people wouldn't easily find me. But where? I didn't have family nearby. No close friends. Just me. I have a sister, I said suddenly. I hadn't spoken to her in years. But right now, I didn't have many options. Go there, the officer said. And don't tell anyone else where you're staying. That night, packed quickly. Only the essentials. Clothes, documents, whatever I could carry. Because for the second time, I was leaving my home behind. As I stepped out of the apartment, I looked back one last time. And a thought hit me hard. This all started 'cause I trusted my son. The drive to my sister's house felt long. Too long. Every car behind me felt suspicious. Every turn felt like someone was watching. Even though I knew. Might just be in my head. Or maybe it wasn't. When I finally reached her house, I hesitated before knocking. We hadn't spoken in years. Not after a small argument that slowly turned into distance. But right now, pride didn't matter. Safety did. I knocked. A few seconds passed. Then the door opened. She stood there, looking at me, surprised, confused. You, she said. My eyes filled with tears instantly. I need help, I whispered. She didn't ask questions right away. She just stepped aside. Come in. And for the first time in days, I felt a small sense of relief. But deep down, I knew something. This wasn't over. Not even close. 'Cause somewhere out there, my son was still involved in something dangerous. And the people who wanted their money were getting closer. Later that night, as I sat in the guest room, trying to finally rest, my phone buzzed, froze, slowly, picked it up. Message. Unknown number. My hand started shaking again as I opened it. And when I read it, my heart dropped. Running won't help. I looked up slowly, my entire body going cold. 'Cause that meant, they knew. They knew where I was. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Running won't help. I stared at the message, my hands trembling. They knew. They knew where I was. That meant one thing. I wasn't safe here either. I slowly looked toward the door of the guest room. Then at the window. The curtains were slightly open, and for a second, I felt like someone was watching me from the outside. I quickly got up and shut them completely. Locked the window. Checked it twice. But no matter what I did, that feeling didn't go away. This isn't safe, I whispered to myself. I brought this here. The thought hit me hard. My sister. She had nothing to do with any of this. And now, I might have put her in danger. I walked out of the room and found her in the living room. She looked up at me, concerned. Are you okay? She asked. I shook my head. No. I handed her my phone. She read the message. And I watched her expression change. From confusion to worry. What is this? She asked. They found me, I said quietly. What do you mean, found you? She asked, her voice rising slightly. And then, I told her everything. Not just parts of it. Everything. The money. Daniel. The threats. Call. The note. Police. All of it. She didn't interrupt. She just listened. And when I finished, she sat back slowly, processing it all. You're serious? She asked. Yes, I said. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Then she stood up and started pacing. This is bad, she said. This is really bad. I know, I whispered. You can't stay here, she said suddenly. Her words stung. But I understood. I don't want to put you in danger, I said. She stopped and looked at me. I'm not saying that because I don't care, she said. I'm saying it because I do. I nodded slowly. I know. We need to think, she said. But thinking felt impossible right now. Every option felt like a dead end. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Both of us froze. My heart stopped. We looked at each other. Another knock. Louder this time. My sister slowly walked toward the door. Wait, I whispered. He turned back. What if it's them? Said. Her face went pale. The knock came again. More forceful. Open the door, a voice called out. My chest tightened. A voice. It wasn't the same one from the phone. But it didn't feel safe either. Who is it? My sister asked, trying to stay calm. Police, the voice replied. We both froze again. Police. My sister looked at me. I didn't know what to think. Was it really the police? Or something worse? Ask for ID, I whispered. She nodded. Can you show your badge? She called out. There was a brief pause. Yes, ma'am. She opened the door slightly. Just enough to see. Two men stood outside. In uniform. Badges visible. My body relaxed. Just a little. They stepped inside after she opened the door fully. Are you Mrs. Williams? One of them asked, looking at me. Yes, I said slowly. We need to talk. My stomach tightened again. What is it? Yes. He glanced at his partner, then back at me. It's about your son. Everything inside me froze. What happened? I asked, my voice barely steady. They didn't answer right away. And that silence felt worse than anything. Ma'am, the officer said carefully, Your son has been found. My heart skipped. Where is he? Asked quickly. Another pause. He's in the hospital. My breath caught. What? Why? Asked. He was injured, the officer said. Injured how? Asked, panic rising. They hesitated again. Then the words came. Low. Heavy. He was attacked. Everything around me felt like it was spinning. Back. By who? I already knew the answer. Is he okay? I asked desperately. He's alive, the officer said. But he's in serious condition. Tears filled my eyes instantly. I didn't even realize I was crying. We need you to come with us, the officer said. My sister grabbed my arm. Is it safe? She asked. The officer looked at her. We'll make sure she's protected. Protected. That word didn't mean much anymore. I grabbed my coat quickly. My mind racing. My heart breaking. No matter what he had done, he was still my son. The ride to the hospital felt endless. Every second heavier than the last. I kept thinking about him as a child. The way he used to laugh. The way he used to call me Mom like I was his whole world. And now, he was lying in a hospital bed. Because of something he got himself into. When we arrived, the officers walked me inside. Through long, quiet hallways. The smell of disinfectant filled the air. Machines beeping in the distance. Everything felt cold. Unreal. They stopped outside a room. This is him, one of them said. My heart felt like it was going to stop. I slowly reached for the door. My hand shaking. Then I pushed it open. And when I saw him, broke. He was lying there. Unconscious. Bruised. Bandaged. Barely recognizable. My strong, confident son. Looked weak. Broken. Daniel, I whispered. My voice cracked instantly. I walked closer slowly. Tears streaming down my face. What did you do? I whispered. What did you get yourself into? I reached for his hand. Cold. Ill. And in that moment, all the anger I had felt before disappeared. 'Cause no matter what, he was still my child. But then, one of the officers stepped closer. There's something else, he said. My heart dropped again. What? Asked. He looked at me seriously. When he was found. He paused. He had your name written on a piece of paper. My breath caught. What? The officer continued. Along with one word. My chest tightened. What word? I whispered. He looked straight at me. And said, next. My entire body went cold. Next. That word didn't just scare me. It settled deep inside my chest like something final. Like a warning. Or worse. Promise. What does that mean? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The officer didn't answer right away. We're still trying to figure that out, he said carefully. But I could see it in his eyes. He already had an idea. And it wasn't good. I turned back to Daniel. Lying there. Unconscious. Broken. And for the first time, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just about money anymore. This wasn't just about debt. This had turned into something else. Something darker. Can I stay with him? Yes. The officer nodded. For a little while, he said. But we'll need to ask you more questions. I nodded slowly. I didn't care about questions right now. I just needed to be there. They stepped outside, leaving me alone in the room. The machines beeped softly. A steady rhythm. The only sign that he was still alive. I pulled a chair closer and sat down beside him. My hands trembling as I reached for his again. Why, Daniel? I whispered. Why didn't you just tell me the truth? Tears rolled down my face. I didn't even try to stop them anymore. You took everything from me. I continued softly. And I still would have helped you. My voice broke. But not like this. For a moment, I just sat there, listening to the machines. watching his chest rise and fall. And then, something changed. His fingers moved. Just slightly. Froze. "Daniel," I whispered, leaning closer. His hand twitched again. Then his eyelids, slowly, started to open. My heart jumped. "I'm here," I said quickly. "It's me, Mom." His eyes opened halfway. Cloudy. Weak. But he saw me. I knew he did. "Mom," he whispered. His voice was barely there. But I heard it. And it broke me all over again. "Yes," I said, gripping his hand gently. "I'm here." He tried to move but winced in pain. "Don't," I said quickly. "Just stay still." His breathing was uneven. Shallow. Like every word cost him something. They found you," he said faintly. My chest tightened. "Yes," I replied. "They did." His eyes shifted slightly. Fear. I saw it clearly now. Real fear. The kind I had never seen in him before. "You have to listen to me," he whispered. "I'm listening," I said quickly. We don't have time." His grip on my hand tightened weakly. "They're not just money people." My heart started racing again. "What do you mean?" I asked. He swallowed painfully. "They're connected." "To what?" I asked. His eyes moved toward the door, like he was afraid someone might walk in. "Everything," he whispered. That word again. Everything. "I didn't know at first," he continued. "I swear, Mom, I didn't know." Tears filled my eyes again. "What didn't you know?" I asked softly. "That it was dirty money," he said. My breath caught. "They offered funding fast. No questions, and I took it." His voice shook. "I thought it was just investors. I thought it was my chance." "But it wasn't," I whispered. He closed his eyes for a second. "No," he said weakly. "It was a trap." My heart felt like it was breaking all over again. "And the money I gave you?" Yes. He looked at me. Guilt filled his eyes. "I used it to cover losses, to buy time." Tears rolled down his face. I was already in too deep. I felt something inside me collapse. All those sacrifices, all that trust, used to hold up something rotten. "They wanted more," he continued. "Always more. And when I couldn't give it to them." He stopped. His breathing became heavier. "They made it clear," he whispered. "How?" I asked, my voice trembling. He looked at me. And the fear in his eyes was something I would never forget. "They said they'd take everything from me. Starting with you." My chest tightened so hard it hurt. "They came after me already," I said quietly. "I know," he replied. That surprised me. "You know." He nodded weakly. "I tried to stop them." His voice broke. "They didn't listen." Tears kept falling. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "I didn't want you involved," he said. I almost laughed through the pain. "It's too late for that," I whispered. "Yes," he said quietly. "It is." The room fell silent again. Heavy. Painful. "Who are they, Daniel?" I asked. His eyes shifted again. Nervous. "They don't have one name," he said. "It's a network." My stomach dropped. "They move money, control deals, silence people." Every word made it worse. "And now they want me," I said. He didn't answer. But he didn't need to. "You have to leave," he whispered suddenly. "What?" "Disappear. Go somewhere far. Don't tell anyone." "I'm not leaving you," I said immediately. "You have to," he said more urgently now. "They won't stop. Not until they get what they want." "And what do they want?" I asked. He looked at me. And what he said next made everything worse. "They don't just want money anymore." My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" His voice barely came out now. "They want control." I felt a chill run through my entire body. Before I could say anything else, the door suddenly opened. Doctor walked in, followed by one of the officers. "Ma'am, we need to ask." But he stopped mid-sentence, looking at Daniel. "Wait. Sir, you need to rest," the doctor said quickly, moving closer. Daniel's grip on my hand tightened suddenly. His eyes locked onto mine. Desperate. "Don't trust," he tried to say. But then, his body tensed. The machine started beeping faster. "Daniel," said, panic rising. "Sir, stay with me," the doctor said urgently. Everything started happening at once. Nurses rushed in. Voices filled the room. The sound of machines, becoming louder, faster. "Mom," he whispered one last time. And then, his grip went loose. "Daniel," cried out. But no one was listening to me. They were trying to save him. I was pushed back, out of the room. The door closed in front of me, leaving me standing there, alone. Again. Minutes passed. Or maybe hours. I couldn't tell anymore. Time didn't feel real. Nothing did. And then, the doctor came out. His face serious. Too serious. My heart stopped. Already knew. Before he even spoke. "I'm sorry." That was all it took. Everything inside me shattered. But just as I felt like I had nothing left, the officer stepped closer. "There's something you need to see," he said. I looked at him, confused. "What?" I whispered. He held up a small evidence bag. Inside it was another piece of paper, different from before. "What is that?" I asked. He looked at me carefully. "We found this hidden in his jacket." My heart started racing again. "Read it," he said. My hands trembled as I took it, opened it slowly. And when I saw what was written inside, my entire world shifted again. Because this time, it wasn't a threat. It was a name I recognized, a name that made my blood run cold. Because it wasn't a stranger. It wasn't someone unknown. It was someone I trusted. My hands started shaking even harder as I stared at the name on that paper. For a second, I thought I was seeing it wrong, like my mind was playing tricks on me. But it wasn't. The name didn't change. Stayed there. Clear. Unmistakable. Mr. Carter. My heart dropped so hard it felt like I couldn't breathe. "No," I whispered. "That's not possible." The officer looked at me closely. "You recognize the name?" he asked. I couldn't answer right away, because my entire body had gone cold. Mr. Carter. The man I trusted. The man who told me to stay calm. Who guided me. Who knew everything. No, this doesn't make sense," I said, shaking my head. "He's my lawyer, he's helping me." The officer's expression didn't change. "Are you sure about that?" he asked. My chest tightened. Every conversation I had with Mr. Carter, every piece of advice, every warning, started replaying in my head. "Don't contact your son. Be careful what you say. Stay quiet." The time sounded like protection. Sounded like control. "He knew everything," I whispered. More to myself than anyone else. "He knew about the money, about Daniel, about everything." The officer nodded slightly. "That would make sense," he said. Felt sick. Like the ground beneath me wasn't real anymore. "So what are you saying?" Asked slowly. "That he's involved." "We don't jump to conclusions," the officer replied. "But this is not a coincidence." I looked back at the paper again, my hands trembling. Why would Daniel write his name? Yes. "Possibly as a warning," the officer said. "Or the person responsible," he added quietly. My stomach turned. Well, it couldn't be. But at the same time, everything suddenly started to fit. Too perfectly. "He told me not to go to the police," I said. "He told me to stay quiet." The officer's eyes narrowed slightly. And you told him about the threats? He asked. Yes, I said. And shortly after that, they contacted you again. My heart skipped. Yes. The officer exchanged a look with his partner, then back at me. Ma'am, it's possible your information was being shared. Those words hit me like a punch. You mean he told them where I was? We don't know yet, he said carefully. But we have to consider it. I felt like I was going to collapse. The one person I thought was helping me might have been the one putting me in danger. I trusted him, I whispered. I told him everything. And that's when it hit me hard. My sister, I said suddenly. The officer looked at me. What about her? I told him I might go there, I said, my voice shaking again. And then they found me. Silence filled the hallway. Heavy. Terrifying. We need to move you, the officer said immediately. What? Asked. To a secure location, he replied. Somewhere he can't reach you. My heart was racing again. But if he's involved, then he knows everything about me. Not everything, the officer said firmly. And right now we still have the advantage of time. That word again, always slipping away. What about my sister? Asked. We'll send someone to check on her, he said. I nodded slowly, trying to hold myself together. Listen to me, the officer continued. From this moment on, you don't contact anyone. No calls, no messages, nothing. I nodded again. Okay. And if Mr. Carter tries to reach you, he added. I looked up. Don't answer. That was harder than it should have been, because part of me still wanted to believe this was all a mistake, that there was some explanation, but deep down, he knew, had been played. From the very beginning, they moved me that same night. Quiet, unmarked car. No sirens. No attention. Just silence. We drove for what felt like hours. Every turn, every stop, felt like we were being followed, even if we weren't. Finally, we arrived at a small house. Isolated. Quiet. Far from everything. This is temporary, the officer said. Temporary, I repeated. Nothing in my life felt temporary anymore. Everything felt like it was falling apart permanently. You'll be safe here, he added. I nodded slowly. But I didn't feel safe. Not really. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not even for a minute. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow felt alive. And then, my phone lit up. Froze. They told me not to answer. Not to respond. But I looked anyway. The name on the screen made my blood run cold. Mr. Carter. My hand hovered over the phone. My heart pounding. He was calling me. Again. And again. Finally, the calls stopped. And a message came through. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. My hands shaking. My breath unsteady. Then I read it. You shouldn't have gone to the police. My entire body went cold. Another message came immediately after. Now things are going to get much worse. I dropped the phone, like it burned me. Because in that moment, there was no more doubt. No more confusion. No more denial. The man I trusted, the man I turned to for help, was the one behind everything. And now, he knew that I knew. I didn't pick up the phone again. I just stared at it, lying on the floor, like it didn't belong to me anymore. Now things are going to get much worse. Those words weren't a threat anymore. They were a promise. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a second. Every noise made me jump. Every shadow felt like someone was standing there, watching, waiting. By morning I felt completely drained. Like everything inside me had been emptied out. But there was one thing left. Clarity. For the first time since all of this started, I understood everything. Mr. Carter wasn't just involved. He was controlling it. He knew about the money. He knew about Daniel. He knew about me. And worst of all, he used my trust to stay one step ahead. Later that morning, the officer returned. He looked serious. More serious than before. "We traced the messages," he said. My heart started beating faster. "And?" "Yes. They're linked to a private network. But we also found something else." I held my breath. "What?" He looked straight at me. "Your lawyer is missing." I felt a strange mix of fear. "And something else." "He ran." "Yes. That's what it looks like," he said. "His office is empty. Files are gone. No sign of him." Course. He knew. He knew the truth was coming out. "So what happens now?" "Yes. We find him," the officer said. "And we shut this down." Days passed. But they didn't feel like days. They felt like one long, endless moment. I stayed in that safe house. Quiet. Hidden. Disconnected from everything. The police checked on me regularly. Questions. Kept me updated. But every update felt heavier than the last. They found accounts. Fake transactions. Shell companies. Everything connected back to Daniel's business. And behind it, Mr. Carter, the man who sat across from me, looked me in the eyes and pretended to help me. One evening, the officer came in again. But this time, something was different. "We found him," he said. My heart stopped. "Where?" I asked. "Trying to leave the country." Closed my eyes. A deep breath escaped me. Not relief. Not yet. But something close to it. "He's in custody," the officer continued. "And he's talking." That surprised me. "He is?" "Yes," he said. "And what he's saying confirms everything." I felt my chest tighten. "Everything?" "Yes." He nodded. "He used his position to target vulnerable clients," he said. "That includes me," I whispered. "Yes," he replied. "He knew you trusted your son," he continued. "He knew you would give him money without hesitation." Tears filled my eyes again. "He set this up," I said. "From the beginning," the officer confirmed. "And Daniel?" asked, my voice breaking. "He was used," he said. "But he also made choices." That truth hurt. But it was still the truth. Weeks passed after that. Slowly, things started to settle. Mr. Carter was charged. Not just for what he did to me, but to others too. There were more victims. More stories. Just like mine. The network began to fall apart. Piece by piece. And me. I was left with the aftermath. I didn't get my money back. Not all of it. Most of it was gone. Lost in things I would never fully understand. But I got something else. Something more important. The truth. I moved to a smaller place. Simple. Quiet. No luxury. No big dreams. Just peace. Some days were harder than others. Nights. I still couldn't sleep. Still heard those words. Still saw his face. But I kept going. 'Cause I had to. I visit Daniel's grave sometimes. I stand there quietly. Not angry anymore. Not even hurt the same way. Just that. He made mistakes. Big ones. But he wasn't evil. He was lost. And he paid the price for it. As for me, I learned something I never thought I would. Sometimes, the people you trust the most aren't the ones who betray you directly. Sometimes, they just open the door for someone else to do it. And that's a pain you never fully forget. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. For more stories like this, check out our channel and watch other videos. Visit our channel for more exclusive content and updates.